Dimitria Lambda. Isn't It Romantic is the first starring role for Rebel Wilson. I went into this not expecting a whole lot. I thought this was just going to be the run-of-the-mill beginning of the year romantic comedy. But it turns out that this is another one of those satirical things that is happening in this decade. It's not that bad. Trust me, it's not that bad. And I think there's a lot of clever satire in here that I really enjoyed, and I was the person who was laughing the most in the theater. So we start off with someone who is very tired of her life, thinks that, you know, true love doesn't really exist, and, you know, sort of that romantic comedy idealism sort of thing. And then she points out all of the tropes and cliches. All of a sudden she wakes up and realizes her whole life is turned into a romantic comedy. Now this is very, very similar to a lot of those Jim Carrey comedies. You know, it's like big, it's like Liar Liar and Bruce Almighty. All of a sudden this big change in this character's life where they have this ability and this masked fortune has come upon them. And then it ends up being, it's more of a curse rather than a fortune. The thing I always want out of these movies is I find when the conflict starts, so say in Bruce Almighty, when he becomes God, he sort of goes through this crazy sort of obsession that he's God and he can do everything he wants. What I always wish for these movies where it will focus on the really awesome stuff for a little longer. Rebel Wilson has to discover that it's all romantic comedy. She really indulges in how great this is, how ideal it is, how perfect and, you know, happy-go-lucky it is, until I feel like the plot kind of starts and she has to kind of discover that this is more of a curse, and she goes, oh, this is better on the other side. It's better how it originally was, and I just didn't see it. Now this film tends to be pitched, or the premise line, it's a love story about falling in love with yourself. Okay, here's my problem with that. I'm all for the message. I don't think it kind of knows what it wants to do. It's like, I'm gonna show you what that story is like, but then you have it where the message is so clouded and it's so mixed up, because I'm just going like, this film just does not know what it wants to be. And then when it gets to that big kind of climax at the end, really that's what it was supposed to be about all along? Well, okay, I guess it makes sense, but once you go through the entire movie, you kind of just tap out of that message and you're just like, oh, okay, that was just strange. Besides the message and sort of confusing element of that, the actors are really trying. What they do with that quote-unquote gay character that's in a lot of these romantic comedies, that actor is just always giving his all, and it makes me snicker every time he just happens to be right where the main character is. With Adam Devine, you get a character who kind of starts off as a little annoying. He's kind of that quirky friend who does all those weird voices, weird facial expressions. But whenever I see this guy, he takes these comedic roles and definitely adds a lot more than what you would originally expect these roles to be. Now, there's a little bit more depth, there's a little bit more meat to this role. That he's timid, that he's shy, but he also has that kind of extroverted personality. He adds quite a bit to it. And then Liam Hemsworth, we're always talking about, you know, Chris Hemsworth and how charismatic he is, how, you know, cool he is. But then his brother, I swear, this guy can take the most stock role, the most stock role you can ever think of, and he can add it to where he's a lot of fun to be around. You start it where this person is a shallow, you know, CEO kind of type, and he gives so much. And I love it when he can be a little awkward and can be kind of weird a little bit. As for the satire, I would say a lot of it tends to hit. I loved this scene where, let's just say, it deals with the bedroom and it deals with cutting. I could not contain myself. And then there's something that deals with it being PG-13, and then that is so funny. She can't swear because it's a romantic comedy. But then what's really weird is that the scene after she kind of points that out, she says bullshit and they don't censor it. So I'm kind of like, well, okay, what was the point of that? This film has very nice lighting, very nice color scheme, especially when it goes into that romantic comedy world. Everything's very pink, very vibrant and colorful, and these shots, the way it pans around, and I mean, it's beautiful. I'm kind of half and half on the music sequences, because the first one is a pretty decent sort of, rendition of this popular song. I think the choreography it's decent. The editing, it needs a little work. I think the choreography is a little standard. I think I enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I did. When you get to the end where they have that sort of dance sequence, I'm kind of just waiting for it to be over. I'm like, this is even more substandard choreography and it's not even shot that interesting. It was a little on the schmaltzy side, a little bit of the corny side, I'm not gonna lie. But the reason to enjoy this movie is for the performances, to even enjoy friggin' Priyanka, and I'm like, are you serious? But she gives a little bit more, again, to this kind of stock role. I kind of don't like it even when this character is supposed to be kind of antagonistic and is going like, oh, he's mine and mine alone. She shows in her performance that she really enjoys the Adam Devine character. You see that in the expressions, and I think that adds a lot more to this character. And then when they try to have her say these lines, have her have to go through these scenes, I'm kind of thinking you shouldn't have done that. You should have just, kind of left it where it was. Rebel Wilson is pretty good in this, and Adam Devine and Liam Hemsworth. That's overall it. I thought it was pretty decent. It was a lot better than it has any right to be. That's for damn sure. So that's about it. Who are we? Who are you? I'll see you next time.